In this video, we will look at the difference between scholarly and popular sources. I will also show you a few places you can go in order to search for scholarly publications. I've got two sources here on the screen in front of me. One is scholarly, the other is popular. To help you understand the difference, and more importantly, why the difference is relevant, let's consider a research question we might use both of these sources to answer. The research question we are going to try to answer is, how is cancer treated in low-income countries? On the left, I have a popular source that answers this question. As the name implies, popular sources are written for the general public. They usually use simpler language and cover a concept more generally. This doesn't mean that they are bad sources, but it does mean they have a tendency to smooth over complicated topics and focus on general issues that everyone can relate to, rather than particulars that only an expert would care about. They are almost never written by recognized experts in the field, but rather by generalists who are simply good at writing. In the case of this article, the author, George Johnson, is a science writer for the New York Times and has written articles on a huge range of topics, everything from particle physics to consciousness to UFOs. You'll notice that our popular source is also full of engaging images and links to other articles designed to draw you in and keep you reading. Academic sources almost never do this. You'll notice that this article is also full of advertisements. Popular sources usually, but not always, exist to sell advertising space. In this article, we can even see an advertisement masquerading as another newspaper article. In academic writing, we usually want to avoid using popular sources to make our arguments. But how can we spot them? Well, by using the criteria I just described. Popular sources are written by a non-expert, they have a general or personal tone, they use attractive or engaging images throughout, and they often, but not always, are full of advertisements. Let's contrast this with our scholarly source over here. This is an article on the same broad topic, but you'll notice some differences right away. For one thing, this article has multiple authors, and many of them are PhDs in the field of cancer research. We don't see any advertisements. Because this article is not paid for with advertisements, it's not freely available on the open web. Instead, access to this article is coming from Creighton University. Let's look a little deeper. Our article is much more specific and does not have a general tone. Rather than talk about cancer in the third world generally, our authors are only talking about cervical cancer screening and only in 5 countries. But notice that this article is actually longer than the New York Times article. Our experts have a lot to say on this very narrow topic. Notice also how, periodically, this article has clear citations that explain where our experts got their information. Usually, these citations lead to other journal articles. Down here at the bottom, notice this link which takes you to a list of editors responsible for publishing this journal. Not every journal has a link like this at the bottom, but every academic journal has a list of editors, just like these. Using a process called peer review, these editors are responsible for making sure every published journal article adheres to rigorous standards and builds on the knowledge of the field. Like our authors, they are recognized experts in their field. Notice how pretty much every editor of this medical journal has an MD after their name. At best, popular sources are edited only for content and clarity. They are sometimes fact-checked, but don't undergo a process as formal or rigorous as peer review. To review, popular sources have a general tone and audience. They are written by non-experts, and they often contain engaging illustrations or advertisements. They usually do not cite their sources, and they do not go through peer review. Scholarly sources are written by experts for experts and almost never contain advertisements. They almost always cite their sources, and they always go through peer review. Now that we understand these differences, let's see how we can find some journal articles. Because scholarly sources are not written for a general audience, because they're so specific and tightly focused, it's almost never the case that they will come up when you perform a simple Google search. Instead, we often need to try a specialized academic journal article database. I found this journal article by using Medline, a database that is designed for locating medical literature. We can search Medline by going to the library's main page, clicking Databases A to Z, clicking M, and clicking Medline. If we search low-income countries here at the top and cancer here just below it, we'll locate every article in this huge database where those words appear anywhere. We can tell just by the title that these are specialized articles written by medical researchers for medical researchers. This article is about the cost-effectiveness of breast cancer screening. This article is about the disparities in cancer treatment between high-income and low-income countries. Each of these articles is probably 30 pages long, way longer than our New York Times article. If you try this search in Google, the top results will likely be from the New York Times, the World Health Organization, or NPR. That's what happened when I tried the search anyway. These are great and highly reputable organizations, but their articles will likely not be written by academic experts. They will likely not discuss the topics in a focused or specialized way. This is why you are usually asked to employ academic journal articles when writing papers in college or graduate school. If you have any questions about whether an article is popular or scholarly, or how to find academic sources for an assignment, feel free to contact the library using the links here on the right on the library's main page. We'll be glad to help you out.